Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you a new fixed symmetry node in wrap3. 3D scans are often used as a reference for creating digital characters. Wrap makes this process easier by providing a tool to transfer a generic base mesh onto a specific 3D scan. Sometimes, however, your goal is to create a perfectly symmetrical model. And the problem is that the 3D scans you use as reference are always non-symmetrical. Specifically for this case, we present a fixed symmetry node. Let's go ahead and create one. It only has one input, so let's plug our geometry here. Notice that the geometry should have a symmetrical topology and contain no more than one element. The computation takes some time, so let me speed up the video. Okay, it took around 40 seconds to compute, and here we have a perfectly symmetrical model. As I'm switching between the input and the output using the control key, you can see the difference between the meshes. Let me zoom in for a second. The method analyzes a topology of the input mesh to find a topological symmetry. If the symmetry exists, it adjusts the vertex position of the input mesh to make it perfectly symmetrical. The node only affects vertex coordinates and does not change topology or vertex order of the mesh. Now let's try another example. Here you can see a reference scan on the left and its wrapped version with symmetrical topology on the right. Notice that the hand on one side of the scan is raised higher than on the other side. Let's see what fixed symmetry node can do in this case. I'm going to turn off wireframe and plug my wrapped model to the input of the node. Let me skip the computation step again. Okay, as you can see, the symmetrical model looks like a mixture of the left and the right side of the original model. If I go ahead over here to the parameter panel, you can see a side dominance parameter. This parameter controls which side of the original model has bigger influence on the final result. By default, it's 0, which means both sides have equal impact. Let's set side dominance to 1. The right side now has maximal influence, so that the result looks more like A pose. Let's now change it to -1. As expected, the left side now has bigger influence, which makes the model look like T-pose. Let's see one more example. A very important feature of fixed symmetry node is that it is fully automatic. You don't have to spend your time aligning a model to a specific axis or selecting a symmetry plane. The algorithm will find an optimal symmetry plane and automatically align it to the nearest coordinate plane, just like that. The last and the most important feature of fixed symmetry node that makes it really different from traditional methods is its volume preservation algorithm. Again, you can see a reference scan on the left and its wrapped version on the right. Notice that this time the pose is much more complex. It's so asymmetrical that it's hard to guess how a symmetry plane should look like in this case. Let me create a fixed symmetry node and see if it can handle that. Here in the parameter panel, there is a parameter called preserve volume. If I turn it off, the node will use the most basic and commonly used linear method. If I plug the mesh into fixed symmetry node, the method will obviously fail. Notice how the head and the leg shape have been distorted. Unlike traditional methods, the volume preservation algorithm uses an optimization approach to find such vertex positions that the volume of the original model is preserved. Let me turn preserve volume parameter on to see how it works. Due to its complexity, the method is much slower, so let me speed up the video and come back to you when it's ready. Alright, as you can see, the model looks much more realistic now. Notice how the head and the legs still keep the original shape. Okay, that's it for this tutorial. Finally, I want to say thanks to James Busby and 3D Scan Store for kindly providing us with such great 3D scans to use in this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next tutorials.